at paper 2 for practice 1. First question. The pie chart below shows a number of visitors to a theme park last Saturday. There were a total of 3,520 visitors. What percentage of the visitors were men? So right off the top, we know that this 2 over here is 90 degrees, okay, which means that the 2 add up would be 180 degrees. That is actually half the amount, right? So what we need to do is, given that the total is 3520, we can take this divide by 2 and that will give us 1760. This is actually the total between the women and the boys. Now we also have the girls. So very simply, to find the men, we will just take 3520, subtract away 1760 and also 1056. And your answer would be 704. Okay, now that you know that the men is 704, we have to convert to percentage. That will be 704 out of a total of 3520, multiply, okay, by 100%, and your answer will be 20%. Next, question 2. Box A, when empty, has a mass of 1.8 kg. It has a mass of 21.4 kg when it contains 8 identical packets of flour and 6 identical packets of salt. Each packet of flour weighs 2 kg 60 gram. What is the mass of each packet of salt? Give your answers in kilogram. So we know that the box itself weighs this amount. So the first thing that I would do is I want to find out, okay, over here. Granted that I know that each packet of flour has a mass of 2 kg 60 gram, we need to actually convert this into kg because our answer is in kg. So 2 kg 60 gram, that will give us 2.06 kg. Now we have converted the mass of each packet of flour into kg. So to find out what is the mass of each packet of salt, all I have to do now is to take 21.4. This is what the box weighs with everything in it. Subtract away 1.8. This is what the weight of the mass of the box. Subtract away 8 times 2.06. Why do we have to multiply by 8? Because there are 8 packets of flour, each of them weighing 2.06 kg. And you get 3.12 kg. Now this 3.12 kg refers to the 6 identical packets of salt. So therefore we need to divide by 6 and my answer would be 0.52 kg. Next, we are asked to find angle ABC. So when dealing with angles, please write the symbol angles as well as all the degrees, okay, for your units. So angle ABC is actually over here. I'm going to color it in so that we can see this very clearly. So it says that AOB, okay, this is equilateral triangle. EOD, okay, and DOC, these are all equilateral triangle, meaning their length is the same. And I need to find this. So to do this, first things first, I know that angle AOE, which is over here, this part over here, would be 180, 360 degrees minus 180 divided by 2, which is 90 degrees. So granted that I know that this is 90 degree, I can then find out what is CBO. Okay, so CBO in this case would be 90 degrees divided by 2, which is 45 degrees. And since this is an equilateral triangle, this will be 60 degrees. So this entire angle, angle ABC, will be 60 plus 45 degrees. Okay. For this question, we know that there are two identical right angles. Okay, so this is one right angle ABC, and another one is actually your XYZ. These two are actually exactly the same. So they said that the total area of the shaded part is 130. Find the area of the unshaded part. So the first thing we need to recognize is that area of triangle is half times base times height. So because this is a right angle triangle, okay, and they are identical, since this is 17, this is also 17 over here. This will be my base and this will be my height. So to find the area of one triangle, alright, it would be half times 12 times 17, and my answer is 102. Now, they said that the total area is 130, okay? That means it's actually this part plus this part. Now, granted that they are exactly the same, and the area that they overlap should also be the same. So to find out the area for one part would be just taking 130 divided by 2, and that will give me 65. So this is 65. Now I have gone ahead and found out what is the whole entire triangle. This is 102. So I will take the whole triangle, subtract away this 65. Okay. And my answer is 37. So this part over here is actually 37 cm squared. Next, question 5. Okay, a piece of paper in the shape of rhombus is folded along the dotted line. Find angle Y, which is this part over here. So the first thing we need to realize is that we can actually take 180 minus away 80. So what this would find me is the other angle of the rhombus. So this is actually 100 degrees. Okay? Because this angle is equivalent to this angle here. So this is 80. Alright? So the next thing that I can do is I can take 100 degrees divide by 2. That will give me 50 degrees. So by dividing by 2, what I am actually finding out is the other angle by half. Okay. This will be 80. Now, this angle is actually 50 degrees. which is what I found over here. Now this part of it, because it's folded in such a way, you would divide this by 2. So granted that this is 50 degrees, because they are exactly the same, I just want half of this, which is over here. I will take 50 divided by 2, and that is 25 degrees. Now that I know that this is actually 25 degrees, I can go ahead and using sum of angle of triangle. So this angle plus this angle plus this angle will be 180 degrees. So I will take 180 degrees minus away 25, minus away 80 degrees, and my answer would be 75 degrees. And that is how I solve this. Okay, now complete the drawing of trapezium W, X, Y, and Z. So we know that in a trapezium, there needs to be one set of parallel lines, right? So it says here that WX and XY are two sides. WX is parallel to ZY. So somehow the ZY needs to be here. And WX is twice the length of ZY. So ZY needs to be somewhere here, which is parallel to this line. So to do this, what we need to do is we need to first calculate how many squares are there in total. So when we look at this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, and 1, 2 down. So half of this 6 is actually 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, and just one square of a distance down. So therefore, if I were to move down by 1 and 3, 1, 2, 3, it will be this triangle. So this is where the line is supposed to be drawn. 3. So if you can see, this part here is equivalent to this part. Okay, so this would tell me that they run in parallel. So I'm just going to remove away these lines. Okay, and then we join this up. And make sure to label Z. Now the measurements for this case, for B, it will be 45 degrees. Use your protractor. Okay, question 7. Okay, the graph below shows the number of students in 5 different schools in 2019. The number of students is not shown on the scale. The same data is then shown in the pie chart. Okay, total enrollment of 2 schools is equal to the enrollment of Ang Mo Kio View School. Which 2 schools are these? Okay. So over here, we know that Simin is actually 450 and Thompson is 675. Over here, we can then figure out all the different intervals. So over here, if you take a look at it, from here to here, the difference between these two is actually (225). And 225, when you divide by 3, is 75 each interval over here. So with that, we can figure out all this. Now, first we need to find out what is the enrollment of Ang Mo Kio View. Now this is actually 675, and we need to add $900 over here. So Bishan over here would be $225. So if you take a look over here, you realize that the enrollment for Ang Mo Kio is 900. So they asked you which total of the two schools equals to Ang Mo Kio. So if you take a look at this, 225 plus 675, that will actually give you 900. So therefore the answer is actually Thomson and Bishan. So how many schools are there in MacRitchie? So over here in MacRitchie, the answer would be $750. So how do I do that? I know each interval is 75. The closest one that have to for reference is Thomson. There's just one more interval here, so this is at another 75. So therefore my answer is 750. Okay, question 8. 4 identical triangles, each radius 16 cm, are touching each other as shown. The 4 dotted lines join the center of the circles to form a square. Find the area of the shaded part. So if this is 16, then I know that the total is 32 because this part here will also be 16. So this is 32. Okay, now, so the first thing that I can do is to actually find out what is the area, of the square in the center. So that would be 32 times 32. My answer is 1024. After I found what is this area, I will need to then find out area of one circle. Why? Because if you realize, the 4 quadrants will make one circle. So formula for circle is actually pi r squared. So therefore, they said to take pi as 3.14 times my radius is 16 times 16 times 16, it'll be 803.84. Now I will take the area of the square and I'll subtract away one circle. So therefore it's 1024 minus away 803.84, and my answer would be 220.16. cm squared. Units are important. Okay. Next question. Pete and David started driving at the same time from the same place, but in opposite directions along a straight road. So we can use a line to help us with this. So I have Pete, okay, they drove from the same place but in opposite direction. So one goes this way and the other goes this way. Okay, after 3 hours, they were 510.3 kilometers apart. Pete's average speed was 11.2 kilometers faster than Dave's average speed. What was Dave's average speed? Okay, so the first thing that we need to know, we want to find out would be, what is the distance covered, okay, by Peter that was faster? So first things first, DST. So if we want to find distance, it's actually speed times time. So I know that Pete's speed was 11.2 kilometers faster, okay, and he traveled faster, okay, for 3 hours. So that is 33.6, right? So this is the kilometer that he gained. So the total distance that they were apart was 510.3. I will take this to subtract away 33.6. Okay, so when I do that, I'll find out what is the total distance traveled by the both of them, given that if they were at the same speed. And then after that, I would divide by 2. And that will give me 238.35. Okay, now, so granted that this is the distance traveled by David, but I need to find his speed. So when I want to find speed, I will take distance divided by time. So therefore, 238.35 was how much Dave traveled. He traveled for how long? 3 hours. So therefore, I will divide by 3 and it's 79.45. So my answer in this case would be 79.45 kilometers per hour. Okay, next. At a home appliance warehouse sale, Mr. Chua bought a vacuum cleaner and a washing machine for a total of 2,980 after discount. He paid $464 more for the washing machine than the vacuum cleaner. Find the percentage given for the vacuum cleaner. Now the first thing you need to know is you would want to know what was the cost that he paid for the washing machine. Now in total, he paid 2,980, right? But don't forget, you want to find out what is the vacuum cleaner cost. So you have to subtract away what was the cost that was more that he paid for the washing machine and then divide by 2. So when you do that, you know that he paid $1,258 for your vacuum cleaner. Okay, so this is what he paid. So now that you know what he's paid, you have to find the difference of the usual price, which is 1480, and the difference of what he actually paid for the vacuum cleaner. Okay, so when you do that, you would find the difference is $230. This $230, okay, you want to find how many percent is $230 out of 1480. This is the original amount. Okay, multiply by 100% and you will get 15%. So the discount was actually 15%. This is for A. And now we go to B. Find the usual price of the washing machine. Now in this case, you are able to easily find the cost price, or rather how much did you pay for the washing machine, because this was the amount 1258 that you paid for the vacuum cleaner. But wait, don't forget, you paid 464 more for the washing machine. So you will add this 464, you will get 1,722. Now this was what you paid, okay, after the discount. Now they want you to find the original price. So this was actually at 80%. Why? Because the discount is actually 20%. So 100% minus 20% is 80%, is 1722. 1% would be 1722 divided by 80. And your answer would be 21.525. You want it at 100%. That would be 2152.50. Okay, so your answer is 2152.50. Alright, next question. The number of boys and girls in the hall was a ratio 4:5. Okay, after 170 boys and 20% of the girls went back to their classrooms, the ratio of the boys to number of girls became 2:1. How many were there in the hall in the end? Okay, so this one we can use the all variables change. So we know that to do that, we would have, okay, at first, right? So we have the boy is to go, right? And then we also have at first. So at first, we know that the ratio was 4:5. So 4U is to 5U. Now what happens is, what is the change? So the change was that boy was a subtraction of 170 and girls was 20%. So when you think about it, 5 unit is 100%. I'm just going to do a rough working for you to see. 100% is 5U. So that means what is 20%? 20% would be 1U, isn't it? So we then subtract away 1U because 20% went back. Okay? Then after that, you would realize that there is a new ratio. So for this new ratio, we don't use units anymore. We use parts to denote that it's a different ratio altogether. So the number of boys became 1 part and the number of girls became 2 parts. And now we can actually form our 2 equations using this over here. So our first equation will be 4u minus 170 equals to 1 part. Okay, so this is our first equation. Then our second equation, we can use this. 5 unit minus away 1 unit equals to 2 parts. Okay, so in short, if I were to rewrite this, 5u minus 1u is 4u. So 4u is essentially 2 parts. And this is my second equation. So what we want to do is, we always want to get rid of the parts. Now, how can we get rid of the parts? So in this case, I know that 1 part and 2 part. If I want to change this into 2 parts, I will have to multiply everything by 2. So I will take this equation and I'll multiply everything by 2. So 4u becomes 8u. Okay, 170 becomes 340. And then my 1p becomes 2p. Right? So right now, if you take a look at it, this is 2p, this is also 2p. So now I can go ahead and replace. Instead of writing 2p, I can write 5u minus 1u, which is actually 4u. Okay? So basically, instead of writing 2p, I can write 4u because they are the same. So if I'm going to rewrite a new one, will be 8u minus 340 equals to 4u. So now I only have to deal with my units. So now I would bring my 4u over to this side and my 340 over to this side. So when I bring over, alright, it becomes negative 4u and positive 340. 4u equals to 340. U equals to 340 divided by 4, and my answer would be 85. So now that I found out what is actually 1u, I'm able to answer this question. How many children were there in the hall, okay, at the very first place? So what we can do is, we know that the total is actually 9u right from the start, correct? So therefore, I want to know what is 9 units. 9 units will be 85 times 9. That will give me 765. Now this 765, I will need to then subtract away the changes. So 765 minus away 170. Where did I get the 170 from? From here. Because 170 boys left. And then after that, I will go ahead and minus another 1 unit, which is 85. Why minus 1 unit? Because it's reflected over here, and 1 unit is 85. So at the end of the day, my answer will be 510. Alright, this is the number of children at the end. Alright, moving on to the next question. Eddie sold phone cards doing a part-time holiday job. Every phone card he sold, he will receive 60 cents. For every 20 phone cards sold, he will receive another additional 450. How much did he receive after selling 20 phone cards? Alright, so the first thing that we can do, alright, is that we know that every phone card is 60 cents. So 20 phone cards we multiply by 60 cents, and that will leave us with $12. But wait, he gets another additional $4.50 for every 20 phone cards. So therefore it'd be $12 plus another $4.50. That will put us at $26. Sorry, that will put us at $16.50. Okay, make sure you have your dollar sign. Okay, then after that, this is for A, label your working. Now for B, what was the smallest number of phone cards needed, Eddie needed to sell to receive at least $150? Now, so we know that for every 20 cards, Eddie would receive $16.50. So granted that that's that, I will take 150 divided by $16.50. So I need to round off to the nearest whole number, and that will give me 9. Right? Because I want to see how many sets of this. Okay? So then after that, 9 times $16.50 would be $148.50. Now, so this is the amount that he will earn for 9 sets. So he wants to receive 150. This is not enough. So I want to find what's the difference. So he would then take 150 minus away 148.50 from the 9 sets of 20 cards that he has sold. That will put us at $1.50. So at $1.50, how many more cards do I need to sell in order to earn that $1.50? I will take $1.50 divided by 60 cents. Now take note, there is no bonus for this because it's only when you get 20 cards, then you get the additional $4.50. So when you divide by 60, you need to round off the nearest whole number. That's 3. Okay, so in addition to selling the 9 sets of 20, he must sell another 3 more cards. So because it is 9 sets of 20, therefore it's 9 times 20. Okay, this is the sets of cards, actual number of cards and not the sets. Then you add another 3, so total is 138 cards. This is the minimum he must sell in order to earn $150. Right? Moving on. Okay, a rectangular tent measures 60 by 60 by 34. Okay, it is divided into 2 parts by a piece of plastic. So it's over here. Okay, there is 2 cm thick. So the 60 is over here. This is your 60, this is your 30, this is your 34. Alright, this is what they're talking about. And then they are dividing it by this thick plastic that has a thickness of 2 cm. One part of the container contains water to a depth of 31 cm. When the piece of plastic is removed, what is the height of water in the tank? Give your answer corrected to 1 decimal place. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you want to find out how much volume of water there is. So to do that is length times breadth times height. Okay, I have my 29 over here times my 30, which is over here, and then times 31, because this is the height of water, and that will give me 26970, and this is in cm cube. Okay, then the next thing what I need to do is that I need to take 60 times 30. Okay, so this will give me the base area. This will give me the base area. which is 1800. Now, this over here is the volume, correct, of water. So now I want to find out what's my new height. Now we know that the formula for volume is basically base times length times height. So over here, my base times length is actually here, and my volume is actually 26970. So with this formula, I'm able to find out the new height of the water. So if I substitute in all my values, it's actually 26970 divided by 1800. That will give me 1459 over 60. 14 remainder 1770. Now we will set to round off, okay, to 1 decimal place. So over here, after rounding off, it would be 15.0. So because it's 1 decimal place, you must put the 0.0 at the back. Okay, maybe to make things a little clearer, let me redo this part. So if you press using your calculator, you will get 14.98 something. Now, I wouldn't use the approximate sign just because it's not right to use the approximate sign if you didn't use if you didn't use the equal sign. Okay. Sorry, let me say again. If you're not intending to put the exact number, you should not be using the equal sign. So I will use the approximate sign. So the approximate sign is 14.98. Now I'm only going to write up to 8 because in the calculator you will know it's 33333 point something. The numbers at the back don't matter anymore because I do not need that to round off to the nearest 1 decimal place. Now if we take a look here, the 1 decimal place is actually the value of 9. Okay? So to look at this, I will look at the number before that. So if the number is 5 or greater, I will actually round up for this. Now granted that because the next number, if I round it up, is going to be 10, alright, I need to carry over the value. So therefore, it becomes 15.0. I hope this makes sense. Question. RUTS is a square. TU equals to TP, and angle RQS is 130. So we want to find this particular angle. Now we need to mark out all the parts that are actually equal. So TU is the same as TP. So granted that these two are actually the same, then this must be the same as well as this, because it's a square, since this and this is equal. So the first thing that we realize is that we can actually find out what is this particular angle over here. So this particular angle, which is angle SQT, would be 180 minus away 103 degrees. So that will leave us with 77 degrees. Now, we also know that this part over here is 45 degrees because this is a right angle that is divided into two diagonally. So granted that we have this angle and this angle, we can go ahead and find this particular angle over here, which is actually angle QST. That will be 180 minus away 45 minus away 77. And that will leave us with 58 degrees. So now that we know that this angle is 58 degrees, okay, let me go ahead and correct that. Because this and this angles are isosceles, this is an isosceles triangle, we also know that this particular angle here is also 58 degrees. So now that we know that this is 58 degrees, we will actually be able to find out what is this angle over here, which is angle PTS. So angle PTS would be 180 minus away 58 minus away 58. So that will leave us with 64. So this part over here is 64 degrees. This entire part. So we know that this is actually a right angle. So to find out this particular angle over here, we just need to take the right angle, subtract away the 64. So angle PTU equals to 90 degrees minus away 64 degrees. That will leave us with 26 degrees. Now make sure you label whatever you find, okay, with the degrees, okay, in the drawings itself. For this question, 3 girls had 144 sweets altogether. Eileen gave some of her sweets to Betty. You don't know how much, but you know Betty's sweets were doubled. Then Betty gave some of her sweets to Kathy, and Kathy's sweets doubled. As a result, the 3 girls had an equal number of sweets each. How many sweets did Betty have at first? So to solve this question, we will work backwards. So we want to know how many sweets they each had in the end, right? So altogether they have 144. We will divide it by 3. So at the end, they all had 48, regardless. And you know that if you work backwards, the last thing that happened was that Kathy's sweets were doubled. So to find out how much Kathy had originally, we need to take 48 divided by 2. So when you take 48 divided by 2, you realize that Kathy actually received 24 or gained 24, and that's how she became double. This is actually double for Kathy. So by dividing by 2, we will find out how much Betty gave. So in order, we need to add back to Betty. So we will take 48 plus 24, okay, and that is 72. So this is over here. Betty's sweets were doubled. So this is actually double for Betty. So to find out how much she originally had, we will take 72 divided by 2, and your answer is 36. Next, number patterns. Okay, so over here, we need to find out a formula to actually figure out how it works. Alright, usually it involves the figure number and then a difference. Okay, whether is it adding or subtracting certain numbers to get certain things. So over here, the formula is actually 3n plus 2, where n equals to the figure number. So for example, for figure 1, alright, it'll be 3 times 1, because n is 1 plus 2. Your answer would be 3 plus 2, answer 5. So on and so forth for the rest of your figures. So for figure 5, we will replace the n with 5 plus 2. And your answer would be 15 plus 2, answer 17. For B, write down the number of dots in the figure 50. Same thing, 3 times 50. N is replaced by 50 plus 2. Your answer would be 150 plus 2, answer 152. Finally, for C, which of the figure has 5, 6, 9 dots? Now based on this, we know that the formula is 3n plus 2. So we have to reverse the formula. Now we actually have to subtract the 2. Alright, and instead of multiplication, we need to divide, because this is a multiplication, 3 times n. So therefore, we will take 2, 6, 9 minus away 2, that will be 2, 6, 7. And then we take 2, 6, 7 divided by 3 instead of multiplying by 8. We get back 89. Okay, so this is actually our n. So answer is figure 89. Right, last question. Mrs. Sim sold some tennis racket and badminton racket for $17,043. Each racket cost $273, and each badminton racket costs $37 as much as a tennis racket. 2/5 of the rackets sold were tennis rackets. How much did each badminton racket cost? Okay, this is not very difficult. So what we know is, we know that the cost of each tennis racket is $273. And we want to know what is 37 of it. So therefore, 37. Multiply 37. Answer is 117. Okay, make sure you have the dollar sign, label it as A. B. How many badminton rackets were sold? So, over here, to solve this question, we know that in total, 2/5 of the rackets sold were tennis rackets. That means the remaining 3/5 of it, 3 out of 5 of it, would be for my badminton racket. So my badminton racket costs 117, right? So 117 multiplied by 3, that would be 351. Okay, and then after that, each tennis racket is 273, and I know that out of it, 2/5 of all the rackets sold were actually tennis rackets. So I multiply by 2. So this is 546. Now, then I will go ahead to add these two numbers, 351 and 546 together. That will give me 897. So now what I want to do is I will take the total amount, divide by this amount here, the total between, okay, the total of the badminton and the rackets sold. So 17043 divided by 897 equals to 19. So I know that there are 19 sets of 3 badminton racket and 2 tennis rackets. So finally, I want to know how many badminton rackets, right? So because I know in every set there is actually 3 badminton racket, I will need to take 19 times 3 and my answer will be 57. Okay, and that's it. We have come to the end.